Hello everyone, this is Bill Griffin. Welcome to Different Take Podcast. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. I really appreciate you watching. New episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. In 1988, Joe Biden ran for president, Democrat primary. It was a failed campaign, and this was to succeed a very popular Republican President, Ronald Reagan, who won in 1980 over Jimmy Carter with carried 44 states, Jimmy Carter 6, and then in 1984 he carries 49 states. So Joe Biden decides to run the Democrat primary. This was 34 years ago, and his campaign was, he caught a lot of flack for plagiarizing a speech and some other things. And this is a NBC broadcast in 1988 that covers some of these things.
Democratic presidential candidate Joseph Biden today faces a controversy. 3 weeks ago at a debate at the Iowa State Fair, he used phrases identical to those delivered by British Labour Party leader Neil Kinnock.
Biden seemed to be claiming Kinnock's vision and life as his own.
Why is it that my wife, who's sitting out there in the audience, is the first in her family to ever go to college?
Why is Gladys the first woman in her family in 1,000 generations to be able to get to university?
My ancestors who worked in the coal mines in northeast Pennsylvania don't come up after 12 hours and play football.
8 hours underground and then come up and play football.
It's because they didn't have a platform upon which to stand.
There was no platform upon which they could stand.
The notion that every thought or notion or idea you'd have to go back and find and attribute to someone, I think is, quite frankly, ludicrous.
The problem here is that Senator Biden told his audience he'd just been thinking about these things, and he failed to give any credit at all to his famous British speechwriter.
You know, I was thinking on the way over here. Now that's a little too much, because as you point out, what's behind the words? What's there? And a lot of people, the rap on Biden has always been that it's just a surface.
I should have said, to paraphrase Neil Kinnock, it's the only time I didn't, and all the times I've ever used it.
But CBS News found a tape of a second instance.
It reappeared in the New York Times with a new charge, that Biden had appropriated a famous litany from the late Robert Kennedy about what the gross national product cannot measure.
It cannot measure the health of our children,
The health of our children,
the quality of our education,
the quality of their education,
the joy of their play,
or the joy of their play.
Biden.
Back in this time period, television journalists and print journalists focused a lot on finding or reporting that a candidate or an elected official was not telling the truth or being dishonest. This was a big thing. And so journalists were constantly trying to trip politicians up. Sometimes it's a little overdone, sometimes it's a little exaggerated, but that was the way things were then. And this report reflects that. So Biden had a failed campaign. There were some other exaggerations he made, and a little later in this same news broadcast that this is covered.
During an April campaign appearance in New Hampshire.
I went to law school on a full academic scholarship, the only one in my class to have a full academic scholarship. Went back to law school and in fact ended up in the top half of my class. I was the outstanding student in the political science department at the end of my year. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school and 165 credits, only needed 123 credits.
Biden now concedes he did not graduate in the top half of his law school class, that he does not have 3 degrees from college, and that he was not named outstanding political science student in college.
Newsweek says Biden actually went to school on a half scholarship, ended up near the bottom of his class, and won only 1 degree, not 3.
So Joe Biden has a long history of exaggerating things about himself or just outright lying about things he has done or seen or places he's been, things that really don't matter. It's just total to prop himself up. And all politicians lie, so I guess is his thinking. All of them lie, and I got to lie just to keep up. when he was asked about these things, he had expressed no shame or remorse. It was kind of, what's the big deal? All politicians lie. This has continued to this day, this habit that Joe Biden has. So you could spend hours and hours reviewing things he said. It's amazing. So here he is in just recently, this is in June 2022, Naval Academy graduation speech or address to the cadets that have just graduated.
Before I began my speech, a thought crossed my mind as I was told the class of '72 is here. I was appointed to the Academy in 1965 by a senator who I was running against in 1972. Never planned it that way. I wasn't old enough to be sworn in. I was only 29 years old when I was running. He was a fine man. His name was J. Caleb Boggs. I didn't come to the Academy because I wanted to be a football star, and you had a guy named Staubach and Bellino here. So I went to Delaware. But all kidding aside, the best line of the debate was, after it was all over, the announcer, the questioner, who was a good guy but supported my opponent, who was a good man as well, I might add. And he said, "Senator Boggs, you have anything else you want to say?" And he said, "Yes, just one thing." And he took the microphone. He said, "You know, Joe, if you accepted my commission to my appointment to the Academy," he said, "you'd still have 1 year and 3 months active duty, and I'd have no problems right now." So the class of '72, welcome. You guys must be very proud of all you've seen and done.
Joe Biden didn't serve in the United States Navy nor any military service. I think he got some deferments because he was in college. This thing with the Naval Academy, there's no record of this ever happening. And this is from Sky News in Australia. This is June 2022, and this gentleman explains this a lot better than I can.
Really, Mr. President, you were appointed to the prestigious U.S. Naval Academy at Annapolis in 1965. Well, great, except there's no record that anyone could find of this thus far. Joe Biden's 2008 autobiography called Promises to Keep, there's a title right out of Orwell, does not mention the Naval Academy. Others have pointed out that the U.S. military was heavily involved in the Vietnam War by the mid-1960s, and had Joe Biden attended the Academy, he would have had to serve in the Navy upon graduation. Great, except that Biden received 5 student draft deferments during his 4 years at the University of Delaware and subsequent 3 years at the Syracuse University College of Law. Now, this created some awkward moments for new White House flack Karine Jean-Pierre, who had to claim that she didn't hear Joe Biden's statement, despite it being at the very top of the president's speech. Have a look.
During his address at the Naval Academy. The president was born in 1942, graduated from the University of Delaware in 1965. In his address, he said he was appointed to the Naval Academy in 1965. Was he? Was it in 1965?
So I did not hear that part of the speech, so I would have to. Okay, I did. I missed.
A lot of writing about it.
No, I hear you. Ed. I hear you. I have not. I need to read it myself and just go back and see what you're talking about exactly. I can't speak to it right now.
So if you voted for Joe Biden, you may say, well, it's a binary choice. It was the worst of two evils, except that he lies about things that are very important. He's consistently claimed that high gas prices is due to the war in Russia and that oil companies are greedy and they're evil. Well, were they greedy and evil when the pricing was half of what it is today and even lower? It's very deceptive. He's recently claimed that gas stations just charge too much and they should just lower their prices. Well, they operate on, almost everyone knows this. that gas stations operate on very small margins with gas. They don't have much labor. You self-service. You use a credit card the vast majority of the time, and their profits are things they sell inside the stores, not the gas itself. For them to lower their prices that would make much difference at all, they'd have to go bankrupt, and so you wouldn't have any gas station to go to. He's claimed he wants to see lower prices, but at the same time, if you really believe that using cars that burn gas hurts the environment, if you really believe that, then you can't have the price of gas high enough. Biden claims that inflation is better in the United States than any other country. There's no truth to this. This is an outright lie. I'm just not sure that he says these things and he's just it's senility, or he actually believes them. But the administration party hacks that are employed by the White House spokespeople and so forth make the same claims. He claimed in the debacle in Afghanistan in 2021, the summer of 2021, was a success. Anybody that sees this or knows anything about it knows it's not a success, and there were lives lost. And he was looking at his watch while the remains were in there being brought back from Afghanistan of Marines that died in an explosion. He claims that the Build Back Better spending program would actually pay for itself, which is clearly false. He's claimed that the deficit spending is lower. Well, not compared to 2022, the year 2022 compared to 2019, deficit spending is not lower. He's comparing it to just unbelievable amounts of money, double what was spent in prior years due to the COVID-19 government programs to assist people because they lost their jobs and so forth. He's claiming that deficit spending is lower, leading people to believe that this is normal. He would have it the other way. If he could spend more, he would spend more. He's definitely a proponent of doing that. As I said, the Build Back Better program, they can't spend enough. The only thing blocking the way is Republicans in the Senate and a couple of Democrats. And they've called total hell for this. But Biden and his administration just lies over and over again. He claims that that new jobs were administration created all these new jobs. Well, what happened was the jobs were destroyed, and he was perfectly on board with that, with the states shutting down their economies. So you have the U.S. economy total shutdown, millions upon millions of people out of work. And now that they're coming back to work, he's taking credit for the thing that he was all in favor of destroying. He claims that he opened schools and businesses that were closed because of COVID-19. Again, he's the one that was all in favor, and Democrats were all in favor of closing schools and businesses. So now he takes credit for them being open. As I said when I opened the news report in 1988, when he ran for office, a failed campaign, and television journalists back then, as I said, in print, they would go report on politicians that would say one thing, and they were found out later it wasn't true on their personal lives, but things that they matter because they expose the character of someone. These journalists back then, though they were not that great at exposing when a politician lied about a policy. So that continues to this day. The media gives Joe Biden not only cover for the little lies, they just sort of ignore them. Well, that's Joe Biden. He's always said these kind of things, and it's just a quirk of his personality. It's just doesn't mean anything. but they didn't cover on the big things that I just mentioned. So that's my episode today. I hope you liked it, and if you do like this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.